I really must confess right here.
Welcome to PacWest Magazine, the radio show. The show about our exciting Pacific West Conference. The PacWest is made up of NCAA Division II universities from Arizona and Utah to California and Hawaii. It's the most beautiful and diverse athletic conference in the entire NCAA. This is Commissioner Bob Hogue, inviting you to join our outstanding coaches, student athletes, and administrators as we talk about the great excitement in the PacWest. Now here's Assistant Commissioner Tom Camillo, live from our studios in Santan, Arizona.
Alrighty, this is Joe. You're listening to KQCK radio station, and it is time for PacWest Magazine radio show. And today we've got Bob Hogue, the commissioner, filling in for Tom DiCamillo. Welcome, Bob.
Hey, thanks so much, Joe. Glad to be with you and excited to talk a little bit about great things that are going on in the PacWest. Tom DiCamillo on the road this week after a very busy schedule. As you know, in the past, he's talked to you about our great conference basketball tournament that just finished up last week with Dixie State and Academy of Art winning the men's and women's titles. But there were other titles going on around the country, as a matter of fact. And for the first time ever, Academy of Art University participated in the NCAA Division II Women's Indoor Track and Field Championships. And not only did they participate, the Urban Knights out of the PacWest won the national championship. And joining us right now is the man who really led the Urban Knights to that title. He won Coach of the Year honors. He's the head coach of the Urban Knights in track and field and also in cross country. Let's say hello to Charles Ryan. Charles, you actually go by Chuck, don't you?
Yeah, most people definitely call me Chuck.
Okay, so Chuck Ryan joins us right now to tell us a little bit about the journey of the Academy of Art University Urban Knights Women's Indoor Track and Field title. First of all, Chuck, congratulations. It must be just incredible that, first year that you come out of the box and you win the national championship.
It was an incredible experience. It's something that we had been planning to do since my arrival here. A lot of people definitely thought I was a little insane when I first put that out there. But as recruiting had ticked up and knowing the caliber of athletes that we've had, definitely on the women's team, and that was our goal. And we've been saying it for a long time. We were definitely coming in there to win. We expected to win. And it was amazing, to see these group of young ladies buckle down and deliver on all the hard work that they've been putting in.
Let's take it back. Let's start this journey at the very beginning, and that's when you come aboard a few years ago at Academy of Art University, and you set your sights high. Why was it that you felt that you could recruit top-notch athletes to Academy of Art University, a school that had a startup athletic program just a few short years ago, and you felt you could bring in top-notch athletes the sports of track and field and cross country?
The school was absolutely the biggest draw for me. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I'd never even heard of the university. My grandparents lived in San Francisco my whole life. So when I came on my interview with Dr. Jamie Williams, and I understood, what the school was about and how it functioned and the majors that it offered, I knew instantly that this is a gold mine that I could build on, because there's such a thirst out in the country for these majors and these kind of academic programs. So many kids think that artistic majors are not something that they have a choice to do if they want to be serious collegiate athletes, and this is the only program in the country where you can do that. And so, it was all about the university, and every year the interest in getting the name out there and what the athletes have done on the track has just made it easier and easier to find quality athletes. You'd be really surprised at how many big names out there think that they have to go somewhere and do history or science or math, and that's it. Well, I was one of those kids. My passion has always been film and track and field. And when I went to college, I was told, well, you can't be a film major and run track. So I just chose something else. I ended up getting a degree in psychology and sociology, which I'm grateful for, but I wasn't passionate about it. And so when kids have an opportunity to study their passions, it's really easy to recruit.
We're with Chuck Ryan. I'm Commissioner Bob Hogue of the PacWest, and you've joined us here live on PacWest Magazine as we talk about the Women's Indoor Track and Field National Championship won by Academy of Art University, and Chuck Ryan talking about the great things at Academy of Art where you can major in things like film and animation and performing arts and graphic design and so many other great art-affiliated majors, and Academy of Art has also been able to attract top-notch athletes. So now you say that you've got, this great passion going on between what the university offers, but you also got to sell your dream, which is you want to have a top-notch program. So how do you go out there and recruit these top-notch athletes from all over the country?
Well, honestly, the recruiting kind of took off when we were able to get Vashti Thomas to transfer from Texas A&M. She's a huge name, not just in the state of California, but nationally. She was the number one athlete in her recruiting class when she came out of high school. She's a national record holder still in the high school hurdles, short hurdles, and she's still top 10 all-time in California high school statistics for long and triple jump. So you're talking about, a recruit that everybody in the country pined after when she was coming out of high school, and Texas A&M was lucky enough to take her on. And she loved the coaches there, and she loved her teammates there. But Vash is an artist, and she just was really, really unhappy with the things that she was studying there. And so I was lucky enough to have a great relationship with Vince Anderson, who was the sprints and hurdles coach there for the women. And, he called me up and said, that Vash was looking to transfer somewhere, and that she had always dreamed about attending our university, and she knew me as a coach. So it was a really simple thing. They gave her a release, and we put her in the university, and she's been doing extremely well academically here because she's happy. And once her name popped up, next to our logo, the track and field world was just, kind of taken aback, like, well, why would she go there? And what is this school? And who is this coach? And what are they doing out there? Why do they have this girl? And you combine her with some of the talented athletes that we already had on the roster, like Brianna Stewart, who came to Academy of Art straight out of high school to study fashion merchandising. Those two athletes right there, especially at the Division II level, I mean, they're monster talents. They can do anything they want athletically. So the women's program kind of took off from there. In that same class with Vashti, we were able to sign Shaquille Howard on the men's side, Johnny Carter on the men's side, who just won indoor and outdoor national championships, indoor and long and triple jump. So, recruiting at every level is the same. One name begets another. And athletes like to go to a place where they know they're going to be successful, and you're successful with good teammates. So it was, it started with her, and we've just been able to, to build and build and build off of that.
Well, Vashti Thomas is just a big name. I was looking on the internet. Of course, she had, one of the great long jumps at the Olympic trials here this past year. I think it was like 7th in the world, and she's a great hurdler. And what other events did she actually participate in, and how did she ultimately end up doing at the National Indoor Track and Field meet?
At the National Championship, she did 5 individual events, which was insane. It's something that she demanded to do. She wanted to do it. She ran the 60-meter hurdles, the 60-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, the long jump, and the triple jump. And she won.
Wow, that's unbelievably mind-boggling. And so which ones did she win?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, which one of those 5 events did she end up winning?
She won the long jump, and she also won the 200-meter dash. She took 2nd in the 60-meter hurdles. She took 7th in the 60-meter dash, and she took 5th in the triple jump.
That is amazing. Those are all American performances in their own right, and she did it 5 times over, winning 2 gold medals. So just individually, how many points did she just herself account for?
sorry. So you're fading.
That's okay. Chuck, are you doing some babysitting in the background too?
We're actually on the track at practice, and it's really.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're at track. All right. And where is track practice being held?
We rent our facility from San Francisco City College, and that's a great relationship, and we're very fortunate to have access to that facility. It makes our practices very, very easy, convenient to get to. Most of our sports at Camillo yet don't have our own facilities. So, when we have good relationships, with local places, it makes everything a lot better.
And San Francisco City College, for those folks who have not been there, sits up on the hills of San Francisco, an absolutely stunning view of the bay from that campus. Can you see the bay from the track?
We actually can. It's actually a really beautiful view. We absolutely can.
Yeah, so that makes the training a lot nicer, doesn't it? And so, going back to Vashti, being in the top 7 in 5 events, winning 2 of them, the long jump, the 200-meter dash, how many points personally did she account for in your team total?
She scored 35 of the 59 points that we accumulated. And obviously we couldn't have won the meet without her. But what gets lost in that point total a lot, especially since the championship has taken place, is the reality that our women's team had more All-Americans than any other program in the country. We had 13 women's All-Americans. And so it was an overall team effort that Vashti definitely led the charge on. But, athletes like Jenny Bergeron and Darnisha Bean, Julian Purvis, and Chantel King and Kiana Moody. I mean, it was everybody, and it was such an emotional, hard-fought victory. Like the meet, just the flow of the meet just went up and down and up and down. And it was really, it was insane.
Here's the thing. A lot of people have not been to an indoor track and field meet. Maybe they've seen it on TV. The track is obviously smaller, but there's just so much going on. And you talk about the emotions, high and low, because I'm sure that you sat down before the meet and you just kind of tried to figure out how many points will it take to win the national title. You said that was your dream and your goal. And then, as you looked at the total that you thought you could get, there's reaching for a number, then there's a realistic number. What was the number of points that you thought that it would take, and how close did you get to the goals that you set for your team?
Well, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part of the whole experience. When you're in, very rarely in our sport is there an actual score. And that's part of the reason people don't fully understand track and field. But when you're at national championships, there's always going to be a score. And the coaches kind of sit down and we go through our little plans and try to, it's called doping the meet out. Like we try to plan for, this is what's going to be the outcome. The funny thing was the past 4 years, the meet had either been won by Grand Valley State, which is a national power in track and field, or Lincoln University, another national power in track and field. And they have been just killing people, point totals of 80s and 90s. So we went into the meet planning for and thinking that we were going to need somewhere in the 80 to 85 range to pull the meet out. Grand Valley is primarily, their stronger events are distance-oriented and field-oriented. So directly head up, we wouldn't compete with them too often throughout the course of the meet, whereas Lincoln is a sprint, hurdle, jump school like we are. And so, we're thinking going into the meet that it was going to play out one way, and the funny thing was just so many different things happened, and it changed the whole dynamic of it. So we didn't get 59 is not anywhere near 80 plus. And so when some of our athletes didn't make their finals, that was the time where it wasn't looking too good, and we were kind of thinking like, we may not pull this out. But the moment that changed everything was Jenny Bergeron's performance in the mile. She came into the competition ranked 9th, which would have been out of the places for scoring. And in the prelims, she went into the final seeded 3rd. She had an incredible PR in the prelims. And it was a great race to watch, but most of the times, athletes who run, huge lifetime bests in the prelims, have a hard time coming back and doing it again in the finals. Well, not only did she duplicate that performance, she ran faster and actually finished third. She came from seventh all the way up to third on the last lap. And so it was at that moment, and she beat an athlete from Grand Valley, and she beat an athlete from Lincoln in a race that we weren't even counting on point-wise. So when she did that, it was, for me, that was the moment where I really realized that, what, we're about to pull this off. And it was, like I said, it was totally emotional. I had to, get out of the venue for about 5 minutes and kind of compose myself, because it was an incredible moment. It was something that just we weren't expecting. And Jenny there are no words to describe how proud I was of that girl. And Tori Olson, our distance coach, who has done a phenomenal job in his first season.
That is just a great story, and I know, because I've been a coach myself, there are times in competition when athletes step up that you don't expect, and I've had it happen to me in a basketball huddle before, where all of a sudden tears well up in your eyes, and you have to realize, come on, coach, you've got to get a hold of yourself. Your athletes are stepping up. You now have to step up. But you care so much, don't you, Chuck? Isn't that the reason why sometimes your emotions just get the best of you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, there is my own personal journey and story affiliated with this, but for me, it's always been and will forever be about these kids. And like I said, so many of the women on our team, took risks, to come here, took flack in the media, took questions from their family members about, why would you go to this unknown place to run track? And, it's about their individual journey. There's so many unique stories to each one of these kids. I mean, Dionysia Bean, is somebody that I knew way back in the day when I was a high school coach, and she's from Memphis, Tennessee. She moved all the way out to California from her junior college because she believed in the vision that we had put forth for her. And, that's scary, especially, for 18, 19, 20-year-old, kids. I call them kids affectionately. So, it was completely emotional. Even now, I honestly have had a really hard time looking at the pictures and reading, some of the interviews, because I still get extremely choked up and emotional about this whole ordeal. I mean, it's never been done. What these women accomplished no team has won a national championship their first time out. That just doesn't happen. And not only did they pull it off, but they pulled it off knowing that the pressure was on, because I put that out there. I put that out there 2 years ago. And, they delivered. And they delivered under incredible circumstances. And it means it's so much bigger than just them. What they did and what they pulled off and what this university represents is, a changing of the guard in college athletics is the way I see it. Because people now know that this kind of program is available and it's real. It's one thing to say you have sports, but if your sports aren't winning and it's not relevant, then why would anybody want to come? What they did showed everybody that you can do this and that you can do it for real, and that it can be about athletics, and it can be about education, and it can be about outside the box thinking, and they represent so many things to so many people, and it's incredible.
Well, Chuck Ryan, I can hear the passion, I can hear the emotion, I can hear how much you tremendously care. And as you take us back there to the NCAA Division II Indoor Track and Field National Championships, and you talked about Ginny's performance in the mile, reaching out, getting a PR, getting another PR, and you realizing that this could happen. Now take us to the moment when you knew it actually did happen. Kind of paint the picture for us. I can just imagine, lots of excitement, the realization that this first year NCAA active school, Academy of Art University in San Francisco, is going to win the national championship. Paint us a picture, Chuck.
Well, that was the other ridiculously emotional moment. Like I said, when Jenny crossed the line third, the way the meet had been played out, Grand Valley had made some mistakes and not come through in some of their events, and Lincoln had made some mistakes and not come through in some of their events, and we had too. So at this point, everybody's starting to realize that the championship is going to be about a 40 to 50 point meet. And so when Jenny crossed the line in third and positioned us just behind Grand Valley in the overall ranks, I realized, well, they don't really have much of anything left to compete in. So it's just about us and Lincoln. And Vasti is getting ready to run the 200-meter final. And in indoor track, you got 8 girls in the final, but they're running in 2 separate heats, a first heat and a second heat. Vasti was tied for the number 1 seed coming into the final, but in indoor track, for some reason, they don't let the top 2 seeds race each other. So the other girl who equaled her time in the prelims is in the first section. Vash is in the second section, and right in front of her, Vash is in lane 5, and she's in lane 6. Right in front of her is the 2-time defending champion from Lincoln. So, it's all boiling down to we have a 200-meter race left to go, and there's a 4x4 left to go. Well, Vash has done 5 events at this point. We don't want to run her in the 4x4. She has almost no energy. And, I kind of pulled her to the side, and I just gave her a look, and I just told her, go do it. And she went out there and she took out the defending champion. She took out the girl that had a number 1 seed. She ran an incredible lifetime best, 23:42, and she did that, and that was her 10th event in 2 days. And when she did that, and the Lincoln girl finished in 3rd place, the meet mathematically was over. And it was just kind of a sigh of relief. And even right now, I'm getting choked up talking about it. And that allowed me, the first thing I did once we knew the math was done was I grabbed our women's 4x4 and I put them in a circle and I gave them a hug and I said, ladies, it's over. You are the national champions. There is nothing, we're not even competing for anything in this 4x4. Just go out there and enjoy the race because you're going to take the track as national champions. And, they went out there and ran equal to their season best and got 3rd overall. It was amazing.
Wow, I think what an incredible day for you. And of course, separate from this, and maybe you were not aware of it at the time, but your women's basketball team was playing in the conference championship game. They had come from the 3rd seed to fight through, win an incredible game in the semifinals, make it to the championship game, get behind at halftime, and then pull away to win the title. So what a day for Academy of Art University. You win the national championship at the women's indoor track and field. You win the conference championship and go to the NCAA tournament for the first time ever in women's basketball. What a big day for Academy of Art, huh?
It was an amazing day, and I really want to make this clear. The women's basketball team, that is an incredible group of people, and Lene Larson has done a fantastic job in such a short time. What she pulled off, in my opinion, a team sport is hard. It's almost harder. It may even be harder than what we do as individuals, because in our sport, what one person does doesn't necessarily directly affect the next. But in a team sport, it's everybody all together. I mean, you can't play basketball with 3 people having a bad day. So what she has been able to do this season has been a source of inspiration for me and for everybody in the department. And that team is going to do nothing but rise. I mean, nobody would have thought that they had any business finding their way to the PacWest Championships in 2013. And
well, it was an incredible job. You're absolutely right. Lene Larson, I saw her, just literally fight through with her team in what was an incredible semifinal game, defeating defending champion Grand Canyon in the semifinals in overtime by 1 basket. I mean, talk about an incredible ball game and an incredible moment, similar to the moments you had at Nationals. And then to pull her team from behind to win going away in the championship game. It was a remarkable day for Academy of Art University, and in so many ways. Women's basketball, winning the national championship at the D2 indoor track and field title for the women. And Chuck, to top it off, you were named National Coach of the Year. Vashti Thomas was named the Track Athlete of the Year, all for the school that you said a lot of people had never even heard of. I think they've heard of you now, don't you think?
I would hope so. I hope they're paying attention because, and I've said this before, you know, the artist athlete is real, and we're here to stay. This is not a flash in the pan thing that we did on the back of one athlete. I mean, we're building this for the long term, and we're going to be around for quite some time. Vashti deserves head and shoulders above the rest. Deserves her Athlete of the Year award, and she's pushing, to get another one outdoors. As far as my accolades for Coach of the Year, I'm grateful for it. It definitely means a lot to me, but this is a team effort here, and there's no way that I'm the Coach of the Year without these kids, without the support of my administration, and without my assistant coaches. Lamont Johnson, Warren Smith, Tori Olson, they make my job incredibly easy to do, and they make me look good on a daily basis. So I put the pieces together. I'm the architect of the building, but this is definitely a team effort, and I have the best staff in the game, in my opinion.
And the journey is not over. As you mentioned, now we've got outdoor track and field, men and women, and for the first time ever, the PacWest will have an outdoor track and field championship for men and women. It'll take place at Point Loma in San Diego on April 26th and 27th. And I would imagine you've got your sets set very high for the Urban Knights in that particular meet as well. Isn't that right, Coach Chuck?
Most definitely. We're definitely excited to have the inaugural PacWest Championships this year. That's very exciting, something that I think our conference needed to do, and we're all excited about that. And to be honest with you, our women's team is a better team outdoors than we are indoors. We add some events that are a strength for us, like 4 in the hurdle and 4x1 relay. So, make no mistake about it, the ladies are coming, to get another national championship. That's the goal. That's the mission. And they definitely enjoyed their moment indoors, but they're right out here back to work and pushing for another championship. Our men finished indoors 11th, and their goal is to be in the top 6 for outdoors. We definitely have some talented kids in that regard, and the men are tired of being behind the ladies, and so they're very motivated to get themselves right back in the hunt for the national championship themselves next year. So it's a very exciting time to be an Urban Knight. And I've said this, for 3 years. This is my home. I'm from the Bay Area, and I couldn't be happier to be here, leading this group of people and being affiliated with this dream. This is a dream scenario for me.
Well, congratulations on realizing the first step in your dream. Chuck Ryan, Coach of the Year, Coach of the Urban Knights, the national champions in Division II women's indoor. Next step, the conference, men's and women's outdoor in Point Loma, that'll be presented by our great friends and sponsor, Hawaii Tourism Authority. Chuck Ryan will be there, and then he hopes to take his team to the national track and field championships as well. Congratulations again, Chuck. Congratulations to you, to Vashti, to the entire Urban Knight team. What a year. What a season. It continues. The dream does for the Urban Knights. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, that's PacWest Magazine for this edition. Tom Camillo will be back with you again next week on PacWest Magazine. We'll turn it back over to Joe. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, to PacWest Magazine.
All right, thanks again, Bob, and that was PacWest Magazine Radio Show, and another great show as always. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and make sure you tune in next week. And we'll go ahead and move you down to some sponsors, some great music, and some more fantastic shows.